So there is this study where there was 100,000 people in it. So they take people who ate meat, compare them to people who were vegan or vegetarian. So before I tell you the outcome of the study, so the outcome of the study showed that people with a vegetarian diet has much better health. Welcome back to Fueling Your Life podcast. So today we're going to talk about diet, carnivore diet, ketogenic diet, omnivore diet, vegetarian, or the vegan diet. What diet is the best? Which one should you follow? Should you eat meat or should you not eat meat? And what is the most healthy one? Should we go vegan or should we go more on carnivore diet, so eating more meat? And what is best for your health? In today's podcast, I will cover each diet very short, so you understand what they are and what are the studies around all these diets. Because you will usually hear a lot of people are promoting the vegan diet and more plant-based diet, and that meat is bad for us. But today I will talk about some of the reasons behind it and what is actually the studies. So to dive into it, the carnivore diet is an elimination diet. You can see all these diets actually on a scale. So you have at the end, that is the elimination of either meat, animal products, or plants. And you have carnivore and then you have vegan. So carnivore is only animal product, and that means that you will eat muscle meat, bone marrow, organ meat, and basically from head to tail of the animal. And it's very important that you actually follow the concept when you go on a carnivore diet, eating from head to tail, because otherwise you will not get enough of your vitamins and minerals. Because you cannot only just eat a muscle meat, because one thing is that you will at least need some higher quality of meat, so you will need minimum grass-fed, grass-finished meat or animals, and in that way you also have less fat in the muscle meat, which have some B vitamins in the fat. So you cannot only just live based on the muscle meat. You will need organ meat, so especially liver and the heart, which have a lot of nutrients, and actually all the nutrients that you need in a large amount, and it can help you get the nutrition need for the day. So if you focus on going into the diet, if you focus on organ meats as the foundation of your meals, then you actually have a good chance to get a lot of your vitamins. You of course make sure you do a ton of research of meals to prepare, of how to slowly ease in to it, as your body also have to adapt, especially if you haven't done it before. And also for the muscle meat, you want more the fatty cuts, as you need the fat as a fuel source, as you don't have any carbs. Some people do also combine it with fruit, the carnivore diet. They allow fruit in the diet just to get that energy source, and it works better for them. And that also especially for people who are working out. And then if we continue, then you go into the ketogenic diet, which is more a low carb and high fat diet. So here we allow a little bit of vegetables and plants into our diet, but we will max consume 50 grams of carbohydrates. So there will be no fruit. It will still be very much based on meat and organ meats. You will also have dairy. You will more have these fatty vegetables, some avocado, a little bit of bell pepper. And in this diet, it helps more to go from burning carbohydrates only to actually also start learning to burn fat. A lot of people actually use this diet to lose weight and to lose fat, as it's just burn everything off as you only eat more like fatty food. But there's both with carnivore and the ketogenic diet, there is the thing that you have to be aware of that is a bit more expensive to live on, as you have to eat way more meat and animal products, which tend to be a bit more expensive. Going into then the omnivore diet, which is right in the middle, so you can eat everything you want. Here it's just important, you have to cut out junk food, so candy, pizzas, burgers, ice cream, chocolate, desserts, bakery things, cakes, and so on. So your diet is just meat, vegetables, and fruit. And this is also the best place to start, as you can learn cooking with just meat and vegetables and fruits to make it delicious and taste good. You will get used in this way to learn how to cook and make it flavor, because then it's also easier to go into a ketogenic diet, go into a vegetarian diet, because then you can also experiment in this phase a little bit with these. So you might have a meal that's more meat focused, but then you also have a meal a day that's maybe a plant-based focus. And usually when people go on to change the diet, they always notice that, oh, I feel so much better. But of course you feel better when you go from eating junk food, not getting your nutrients, and eating like shit, to all of a sudden eating how you should eat, which is vegetables, fruit, and meat, or maybe not meat or that many vegetables. So of course you start feeling better, and it only takes you 30 days for your body to transition completely. So it will take you 14 days for you to actually notice, and when you start cutting out all the junk food and high processed food, you will experience a energy drop within the first 14 days. And then after a week or so, then your energy will spike up even more, and you have way more energy more consistently throughout the whole day. And when you have came over this, and this is the feeling why people feel so good, is that then they start clinging to this one specific diet. It's not the case, it's just because they eat way more healthy. But when you are in this state, and if you do it from an omnivore diet, then you can also much easier go into try out a more vegetarian diet, a more ketogenic diet, to see where your body fight. But we will come more into that here at the end. So the vegetarian diet is primarily plant-based. You still allow a little bit of animal products, so that can be fish, eggs, whatever is up to you. There's usually keep one thing that is more consistent in it. So you have like one animal source of protein, and then you will focus on adding in beans, legumes, nuts, chickpeas, and quinoa. So when you are cooking meals, then it's very important that your meals is very consistent of beans, legumes, chickpeas, and quinoa as the base, as this will allow you to get the necessary protein. But also, especially beans and legumes, they also have high level of minerals and vitamins. And when it comes to also this diet, then it can also be a good way to start looking into the blue zones and some of their practices on how they eat. Because, for example, they eat at least 1 cup of beans every single day. And there also a thing I started on myself, that every day I eat beans, and they give me a lot of carbohydrates for my workout. I get plenty of protein and vitamins at the same time. So I don't have the need to eat rice or pasta or anything to bump up my carbohydrates. And then I supplement in also with fruits around after my workouts, and in that way I can keep the energy level up throughout the whole day, and then I will have a crash in my energy levels during the evening. Then it's perfect, because then I'm on my way to going to bed. When you get into the vegan diet, a lot of the principles are actually the same, but here you're just completely cutting out meat, so it's a full-on plant-based diet. So here it's even more important that you get your beans, legumes, nuts, and chickpeas, and quinoa. It's also important both for vegetarian and vegan, in general, all of them, all the diets, that you eat a lot of different colors of vegetables, because in that way you can cover as many vitamins and minerals as possible. And you might in the beginning want to start counting calories, because your portions of food will look insanely big, because vegetables don't have that much that high amount of calories in them. So you need to eat a big mass of vegetables before actually to meet your own requirement. And that's also why you will actually see many people actually quitting vegan, because it's so hard to keep up with, as you have to eat a lot of mass. And this can be quite difficult to keep up with, especially when you are on this elimination diet. So now when we are gone through them all, then which one should we do? Which one is the best? And you probably heard that vegan is better than meat, that meat leads to heart diseases and so on. But when you actually look into the studies, then you can see some of the largest studies that have been done, where they look at the vegan diet, people on vegan diet, and people who eat meat in America. So there's the study where there was 100,000 people in it. So they take people who ate meat, compare them to people who were vegan or vegetarian. So before I tell you the outcome of the study, so the outcome of the study showed that people with a vegetarian diet has much better health. But now we also have to characterize these persons, because who are they? Because this group over here just ate meat. And so the ones who go on a more vegetarian and vegan diet and start actually eating more vegetables, they first of all start being more conscious about their health. So that also probably means they are physically active. They eat way more vegetables and get way more nutrients they actually need. But for the meat part, it's just people who eat meat, so they can eat, basically be carnivore, be healthy, work out, be physically active, but they can also eat burgers, pizzas, and all kind of junk food and not get the nutrients. So you basically have the average Joe up against someone who is conscious about their health. And then you don't need to make a study to guess who is the most healthy person. And that's of course the person who is conscious about their health and working on it. And when you then look up the American diet studies, which is more like a questionnaire, so it's just send out the questions to people and then they can take off an answer, which people are not good at evaluating how much they eat or anything. So these type of studies are pretty bad. But it basically showed that, I think it was this was from 2013 as all this, that under 14% of the American population are either the recommended daily intake of food, and under 18% the recommended intake of vegetables. And you have to also be aware that the daily recommended intake is based on is to make sure that you're not becoming deficient. So we are not even talking about you getting the optimal level of vitamins and minerals. It's just for you not to be deficient. So when you actually have a small part of the American population not eating the recommended amount of fruit and vegetables, and then you compare it to people who actually are meeting or at least should meet the recommended amount of vegetables and fruit in the day, then of course you will end up with people who show that, they eat meat, then they also get heart disease and so on. But they also have been linked to show that the saturated fat can lead to an increase in your bad cholesterol. And it's not so much an increase in your bad cholesterol, but when the ratio between your bad and good cholesterol get out of balance, then you have a potential risk to get heart diseases and so on. But another study, actually one of the largest studies, on a carnivore diet, that took people who have been 6 or more months on the carnivore diet and asked them if they've seen any health improvement and the reason behind why they did it. So this is not any factual, but more observation study where you try to find trends and tendencies that spike out, and then you can research it closer. But they actually found that people on a carnivore diet, they experience actually health benefits from only eating meat, and a lot of symptoms that had disappeared, allergies and so on. And what I also pointed out in the study is that we know what I just told with the saturated fat, that it can actually increase your LDL, that even though we know that can be true, that in this case, even though people intake more meat with more saturated fat, they actually didn't actually report cholesterol that was too high. So what are we going with this? It comes to show basically there's no perfect diet. There's no good or bad diet. It is kind of a cliche, but the best diet is the best diet for you, that works for you. And everything depends on where you live in the world, where are your ancestors from, and basically what makes your body thrive. And that's why I said earlier that you want to start in the middle, where you cut out all junk food, so you only eat meat, fruit and vegetables, and then you go through the first month to get over this energy, and then you start getting the feeling where your body actually feels good. And when you change your diet, the first thing is very important, is to notice how your body feels. You actually want to notice how good your body starts feeling, and then when you start eating maybe candy or cake or junk food, pizza, then notice how bad your body actually feeling, because we cannot push ourselves forward with just pleasure. We need to have some pain that can push us forward, but pleasure, a good feeling, can set the goal mark and the direction for where we are going. So in that way you can combine the two, and you actually have found a way that actually makes you feel good, so your body will naturally push you to eat more healthy. and it also just a matter of choice. So then you start knowing that, okay, I can eat this salad, or I can go eat this pizza and take the consequence of that. That will feel great afterwards. And it's a conscious and an aware decision that you can make. But at least you are conscious about it, because a lot of time we just eat things and we are not conscious about it. Then we afterwards say, oh, why I'm feeling so bad? Because you eat like fucking shit. No, it's not because of that. It must be something else. Where if you can get to a point where you actually notice the difference when you eat healthy and when you're not eating healthy, and then actually be more aware about your food choices, that is a perfect place to be. And in that way you also get control over your own diet, because especially if you eat healthy, you don't have to think about calories, because you most likely not eat enough calories. That's the thing. And to figure out how your body thrives is you start in the middle, you use these diets as a tool to figure out what works for you. So when you came over this month and start getting into it and eating more healthy, then you can start leaning more to a ketogenic diet for a month. See, okay, how do you feel? What do you crave? And then you maybe go more vegetarian, or you go back in the middle, and then a month later you go to vegetarian, and then you can test, okay, how do you feel? Is there any difference? What do you crave? And then figure out simply what works for your body, what does not work. And you can also do, this is a very long process, but this doing just through the diets in the beginning get you through like a big chunk of what you eat. Because even though, for example, I love meat, I still love getting my salad, eat a lot of fruit, but then from that on, my diet is very meat heavy, also because to stimulate my hunger, then I need more meat and more fatty food, as it saturates your hunger level a lot. But when you have got through these and you can start know, okay, my diet is best when it's 70% plant-based and 30% meat, or maybe 40% plant-based and 60% meat, then you can maybe start dialing it even more, narrow it even more down by, okay, now I eliminate tomatoes for a month, see how that feels, and then you get it back in. Is there any change? So let me give an example. I've actually found out that I have a problem with gluten. I never been from a doctor said I was allergic to gluten, but I noticed that I went for a month without eating gluten, and then all of a sudden I went to a party at my cousin, and then we ate a lot of like bread, and then I noticed afterwards I started feeling very constipated after eating that much bread, and my stomach could not really process any food, and I had to wait like maybe a week for really get my system going properly again and not being constipated. And then I noticed that when I actually eat gluten, and I eat a lot of gluten, then I started getting constipated by it, which is not good for my stomach, because then it cannot function properly. I can eat a little bit, but my problem is also I really love eating bread, just sit and nip to it and eat it. So it's, for me, I'm very much either I do it or I don't. And that's something I know if I go in and I go in to eat a lot of bread, then I will also feel constipated afterwards. Or just maybe a lot of pasta or something with a lot of gluten in it. So that's a thing I have to be aware of. Especially for something like pasta and so on, you can get some of these gluten-free, but usually something can maybe be better that buy one of these that's more like spinach, pasta, chickpeas, pasta, or something like that. So yeah, that was everything I had here for today. How is your diet? Let me know in the comment section below. This was Fueling Your Life podcast, episode 12 about diets. See you in the next one. Coach Jesper out.